I unfortunately married a man who just wanted children but not family. I met my husband while I was working at a company where I was earning a good salary at the time. I worked and went to school at the same time, even though the job was incredibly tedious. I had no choice but to manage because I had lost my dad, and my mom wasn't financially buoyant enough to sponsor my university education. It wasn't easy for me because I was the one caring for my younger siblings, my mom, and even my older siblings who were not doing well. I met my husband through someone. At first, I didn't like him because he was a complete opposite of my type of man. However, as I got to know him, I noticed he was a good person. So I put effort into helping him look like the kind of man every woman would admire physically. Initially, the relationship wasn't serious until our second year together when I lost my job because my boss wanted me to choose between my education and my work. I was in my third year of school, so I decided to quit the job. Things were not easy for me back then, but I tried as much as possible to finish school on my own and with the help of my friends. After my graduation, my husband finally concluded that he wanted to marry me. At first, I was happy. We had the introduction, and half of the items on the marriage list were paid for. It took another year for him to finalize everything due to some family issues at the time. By that point, I was getting scared to marry him because of some of the attitude he portrayed. First of all, I am a woman who lived a comfortable life before he came along. He was living like a boy who wasn't ready to settle down. We had a talk about putting things in order in the house before the marriage. He claimed those were little things he could do in a day, but he never did them. He never let me bring my properties into his house either, always promising he would sort things out later. Secondly, he had a habit of keeping malice over little things that could easily be overlooked, and he was unromantic. I overlooked these flaws, thinking things would get better since he was a good person at heart, despite warnings from my family. In fact, I eventually cancelled the marriage plans due to consistent issues that led to long period of malice. He came begging and promised to change, so we proceeded with the wedding plans again. A week before he was supposed to meet my family to conclude the payments, I realized I was pregnant. He suggested that if I wasn't okay with it, I should get an, you know, I refused because we were getting married anyway, so there was no need for that. However, we had to postpone the wedding plans until further notice. Throughout my pregnancy journey, he gave me one excuse after another as to why he couldn't make love to me. Not until the midwife eventually had to interfere, but even then, it never stopped. I complained until I got tired and stopped asking for it. Fast forward to after I gave birth, he was truly happy, but there was no intimacy until 7 months later. Ever since then, every single argument turned into long term malice with no intimacy at all. Each time we settle an old issue, a fresh one begins the next day, and I have become completely exhausted. I told him I watched my mom and dad argue sometimes, but my dad never rejected her food or deprived her of his body. Is this how he wants to build our home? On constant malice? He didn't give me any response. Now it has gotten to a point where I can no longer stay. His flaws are becoming worse than I ever imagined. Would you believe that I don't even know my husband's real age because he refuses to tell me? The day I went to get my child's birth certificate, I was deeply embarrassed when I couldn't provide his age. I called him, but his phone wasn't connecting, so I just filled in whatever came to my head. When I got home, I reminded him about it, and he asked what I wanted to do with his age. After I explained, he concluded that he would rather speak with the nurse directly than talk to me. He hides his documents at home. He doesn't listen to me, and he has totally stopped going to church. There was no child dedication. He makes his plans and executes them without involving me. I feel like I'm completely excluded from his life. I have talked about this and even involved his family, but they never give me a helpful response. I then involved his friends, which only made matters worse. It has been 4 months now with no intimacy, no interaction, and no connection. We no longer call each other on the phone. We only communicate via text. Even when I complained before our last fight, he made it clear that if I am tired of the marriage, I should leave. I don't know if living with my child is the best decision. My current business cannot sustain renting an apartment and taking care of my child. Please, if anyone has a good job to offer me so I can live peacefully, rather than stay and risk cheating, please help me. I'm a graduate living in Port Harcourt. What do you think of this story? Should she continue to endure her husband's misbehavior? Remember, there has not been any kind of intimacy for months. And by the looks of things, this man is not providing for her and her child. Or should she walk away, just like the husband has told her to, like, if you're tired, leave. But if she does, starting over is going to be a problem because she says she doesn't even have money to get an apartment and she's currently looking for a job. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section on the best possible thing that she should do in this whole mess. It's just so sad.